I'll switch up here as well. Thank you so much. Cool. I'm going to have to sort of operate off two screens, so you're just going to have to suck it up as I go between them. Thank you so much for coming. It doesn't look like you had much of a choice really, but to everyone who's in the room, thank you so much for being here. There's a few of us here in the room. I've got some hecklers with me just to keep me in check. So I've got Jack, Jess and Chris who are here. They're from Alpha Digital as well. They're from my team. My name is Mateusz. The name is Polish, so if you find it difficult to pronounce, you can call me MK. I'm a paid media director at Alpha. It means that I am responsible for every dollar that our clients spend or invest into all sorts of media, but also paid social. Rob asked me to keep swearing to minimum, so I make absolutely no promises. Before we jump in, a little bit about me, just so you know who you are watching today. So I got my undergrad at the University of Melbourne. I did Bachelor of Commerce and a diploma in music. I was the only person that did that combo that year. I graduated, so there's a reason for it. I majored in finance and marketing, and I had an economics minor. I since then did some graduate studies. I have a graduate diploma from Monash. I dropped out about third way through my Masters of Advanced Marketing because it became apparent that I'm not going to get a supervisor to do my thesis in neuromarketing, which was an area that I was really into at the time. So since then I've done some Section 4 sprints and I've got a couple of more sort of brewing. So I guess the takeout here is never stop learning. It's important in this industry. I've also been around, so I had the privilege of relaunching Adidas Disrupt, a brand across 4 European markets when I was working on that account. I've worked on Johnny Walker. I've done sort of big agencies, big global networks. Currently at an indie agency. I've worked for Queensland government. I did a contract for them, did some SQL data mining and some user journeys a few years ago. But direct managed to squeeze some global first and national first products together with Google, University of Queensland. I know, yeah, that's number one. Just kidding, I'm just pulling your legs, getting the temperature here. And with Paradise, this is a startup from Sydney. We were working with AI and machine learning before it became cool, and we were doing it in the context of matching your tastes to different wines. So pretty cool project. It's still going strong. So yes, if you want to do a taste quiz on the website, please, by all means. Okay, so a couple of things about me before we start. So I speak with an accent, so I also tend to mumble and speak quite fast. So at any point, if you feel like you are a little bit lost and you don't know what I'm talking about, don't be an idiot, don't raise your hand, everyone's going to judge you, so just stop in silence. Just kidding, again, it's okay to ask questions, raise your hand, get me to stop. I like the UK version of The Office, so if you like it, we're probably going to get along just fine. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but neither is agency or marketing, so if you're a little bit sensitive, then you should probably consider your choices while you still can. Again, just kidding, it's okay. So yes, enough about me. Let's talk a little bit more about paid social. When we talk about paid social, most of the time we mean Meta. At most media plans that we currently work on, or clients that we work with, Meta is your sort of first step into paid social. So first you cover off your bases with paid search, and once that's done, so paid search includes your paid shopping, all that sort of stuff. So once that's covered up and the client wants to expand, they want to do some social, we do Meta. And there's some good things about Meta from the marketing standpoint. So they have been around the focused, which means that they have a lot of data, which means that their product offering is a lot more complex and nuanced than some of the other publishers, which means that there are some placements, and especially for e-com clients, there's quite a good suite of products, campaign types, bidding strategies that we can use. They have the first move advantage, where you can see that, especially with the rise of vertical videos. There's TikTok, for example, it tries to own a space, and then what Meta does is it tries to either buy it or get the same format on one of their properties, so Reels in this case. But it's important to know that it's not the only channel that we work with. So LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, believe it or not, still around, Reddit. Each of these channels has a place, not each, some of them have a place on media plans, and it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So as you work more and more with media, you will learn that, okay, if I am after, say, a slightly male-skewed audience that talks about planting a particular kind of plant or whatever else, that's probably your Reddit sort of zone, because it's quite niche. You can buy contextually relevant placements, and yeah, you can maybe a little bit more, but but you're gonna appear in front of the right audience. TikTok, obviously, the duped reach is quite good. CPMs are not bad, and video first. So if you have strong assets that you want to make sure that it gets seen in entirety, or with the sound on, then TikTok's probably your place to be. Pinterest, their USP is that they're sort of aspirational, but action ready. So you're looking for inspiration, but to do something, etc., etc. So before jumping too deep into paid social, let's talk a little bit about the history. So you probably can't see this meme very well. I did make sure that I sort of covered up any sort of triggering words. But essentially, there's two people here. One is a very diligent, very meticulous media buyer that makes sure that the naming convention is right, that the targeting is set up correctly, all that sort of stuff. And then you've got the happy-go-lucky child at the bottom. And he's the kind of guy that really doesn't care, lets the algorithm do its job and hopes for the best. And back in 2013, when I was starting off in media and I was buying paid social, there was no way that you could really excel at your job if you were like Chad. Like, you really needed to be very thorough, very diligent. You had to think about your campaign well in terms of the setup, because platforms have limitations, and if you don't set something up right from the beginning, then by the end of the campaign you might not be able to dig out the pieces of insight that you need for your client. So essentially, if you told me like, hey, do what Chad does, I would have laughed, because it was clear that there's a winner and a loser here, and contrary to the popular belief, Chad is actually the loser in this scenario. But now things are a little bit different. Now we sort of operate on a more of a spectrum, and the spectrum is sort of a little bit painful for someone like me, because I grew up in my career operating like the guy at the top, and seeing someone at the bottom excel was a painful experience. But now with the rise of AI, things are changing in media buying, and marketing is definitely prone to disruption as a vertical, as a market. And this is a reflection of a few things that are happening. So to give you an example, back in 2013, I had a client that was selling pool cleaning products. So I was able to go and buy credit card data and match it with users on Facebook and look for people who were living in particular parts of Brisbane that were owning houses with pools, and I could match that data to target them with the pool cleaning product, and that was just now with privacy, with iOS 14, with tracking issues, we are relinquishing a lot of control when we're setting up campaigns to AI. And I think gone are the days where, you still see some accounts where we take them over. There are some that are set up in that way that used to buy media in 2013. But gone are the days where you could outsmart the algorithm or the info that Meta has on users or the other social platforms for that Meta. This is a photo of my cup of coffee. I went to Meta Performance Summit in Brisbane, I think late last year, and it talks about Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. So I don't know, like, if you guys already know all this stuff, then don't tell me I don't really want to be skipping slides at this point in the game, so we're just going to have to go through all of them. But this is about Advantage Plus delivering better returns on ad spend than other campaigns. And this is, again, I remember way back when a new beta would come out. So a publisher would come in and say, like, hey guys, we have this new cool beta, you should get onto it because it's a win-win. The clients feel special, there's something that you can take back to them and say, like, hey guys, you have this exclusive opportunity to test this campaign or this bidding strategy. And it helps the publisher to feed more data into the product before it gets released to the broader ecosystem. And I remember publishers who shall not be named coming into our office and apologizing for the latest hiccup that they've had on the beta and asking us to invest again and saying that it's better now and that it's really going to work. You should give it another chance. And we used to laugh at those things. Like, you really didn't want to be the first one jumping on a trend because your results would drop and you would have a lot of explanation to do in terms of sacrificing results for PR. But now it's past the point where I could outsmart the algorithm or anyone else for that matter. So now you're better off trusting that Meta, for example, has more information on a user in terms of what they interact with, the kind of posts that they like, what they comment on, what they engage with, all the signals that I can't see or choose in my interface when I buy ads on an individual level, but I'm able to provide a broad array of USPs, of ad copies, of videos and studies and feeds and all that sort of stuff. So trusting that algorithm will understand that for this particular user, this kind of USP is going to work best and in that particular placement, and that will be different between individuals. And that brings us to the importance of creative. So again, when I started, the technical excellence when setting up campaigns would probably account for, I don't know, like 60% of campaign success. Like, you could really make a difference if you set your campaign right, if you were more capable or smarter than other media planners when they were doing their campaigns. And right now it's sort of flipped and it's getting worse for the technical setup, because now only about 20 or 30% of your campaign success can be attributed to the way that you set the campaigns up, and 70% comes from the creative that you use and how good and differentiated and standing out that creative is. If you follow some of the tips that you get from the likes of Google, they claim that up to 30% increases in short-term sales can be seen just based on the fact that you have a better creative than your competition, which I guess makes a lot of sense, but also is a bit of a scary concept, because that means that a lot of the skills that were once very important and they will differentiate you from everyone else in the market are becoming redundant, and it's a shifting ecosystem that we need to adapt to as marketers. So claims that like, hey, if you use, I don't know, negative affirmations, or if you use this kind of hook, and if you follow this structure, or if you use this targeting, like guaranteeing, blah blah blah, that's all bullshit. Like it doesn't. I mean, if you are able to get low-hanging fruit or quick wins, that means that you're not very good at your job in the first place, because these are kind of just hygiene factors that should have been looked after. But what it does mean is that you need to know pardon me, a few things. You need to know a few things around the nuances for platforms, the CPMs, creative types, kind of strategies that you can use across different platforms, different sort of target users that you can tap into, and a little bit more that I will talk about a little bit more. So from this section, just don't be like one of these guys. You will see, like remarketing being the golden egg, or like Amazon automations and like all the kind of. There's plenty of those. I get hit with these all the time. So if you see something like that, definitely don't click it, don't trust it. But also, we have a free 2-hour webinar today. If you click right now, I'm going to be sharing all these unfair advantages, and you're going to be gaining all these benefits of this very soon now. And for those of you who are looking for this link, well, there is no webinar, right? But you get the sentiment here. So, how do you position yourself as a young marketer to avoid being redundant in a few years, especially if you want to play in the paid social game? Well, I came up with this incredibly insightful Venn diagram, which essentially what you want to do is position yourself squarely in the middle between the business knowledge, the consumer knowledge, and the platform knowledge. A few years ago, you understanding the business of the consumer wasn't as important. You could very well get by being pretty ignorant and just being good at your job. But now, I think it's becoming more and more crucial for everyone to be a bit more ingrained into the business and the consumer of the clients and brands that we work on. Okay, so that's all well and good, but what does it mean for you? So I'm going to walk you through a typical sort of brief that you might get from a client, and we're going to sort of break it down a little bit using that Venn diagram, and hopefully that will make a little bit more sense to you at the end. So normally we get briefs from clients saying that okay, we want more sales, which is fair enough. That's the business goal. Everyone wants to make more sales, but they also want more traffic, right? Because traffic is good for your website. So that is a media goal. So okay, you want more traffic, and ideally, with that more traffic, what we would like to do is if someone gets to the website but doesn't buy, then we want to get the email address so we can put them into the nurture streams, IDMs, text messages, and everything else. Which essentially, and this is a couple of very ugly slides that I have put together for my team because I really don't care about them that much. So that's not true. I care deeply, guys. So imagine that this is a race, and the distance from the finish line is the propensity to purchase. The hurdles are sort of friction points that everyone encounters, and the finish line is the purchase. If you include extra goals to your campaign, but essentially it's like creating extra finish lines, and it just creates confusion because you can very well win the race, but then you're not hitting all the check boxes. This is obviously oversimplification because you can run multiple campaign objectives in your ad account, blah 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 blah. But bear with me, and hopefully you'll get to the point. So the first thing is to make it separate races. So you don't want to be in a losing position to begin with. And the way to do it is to understand that brief. So firstly, this is courtesy of Common Thread Collective. If you're not following any of them on socials, I suggest you start. A couple of guys from the US that they're very good in terms of bridging that gap between the social platforms and the business outcomes. So they came out with this formula here, which is not groundbreaking, but that says that if you want to make more money, you need to drive more people to your website, improve your conversion rate, ideally work on your lifetime value, and if you subtract the variable costs from that, this is going to make you money, this is your profit. So we can understand why the client would think that, hey, we need more visitors, we want more traffic to our website because that's going to get us more sales. And that could be true, but then you need to understand the consumer. So let's just say that I am going to be targeting users sort of between 18 to 24 years old. And what this graph shows you is that these users are more likely to purchase off the back of viewing an ad rather than clicking on an ad, which means that on a last touch conversion modeling, it's going to come under a different channel. So if you're looking at the results of, say, paid social, it's going to be incorrect in a way that it's going to go in the attribution of conversions to other channels. So if you can explain to the client and say, hey, actually, you don't have to worry about driving more visitors from your paid social campaigns, it's enough to get them exposed, then you can have a chat about, okay, in this case, I'm looking for a paid social channel that has, I don't know, cheap CPMs, for example, because I really want to work on that frequency and I have a defined target audience, and therefore I can choose the right campaign objective and the right channel. Something at the broader level that I like to remind everyone who's willing to listen to me is the fact that no one cares about your brand. Us marketers have they think about creative fatigue and all this kind of stuff, and then like, yeah, okay, you hit frequency of 4 or 5 on Facebook, and everyone's thinking like, oh, we need to refresh creative. And I've run viewability studies when I was working for on Adidas account, and the viewability on Meta way back when was so low that you really are quite safe in hitting high frequencies on that channel without the fear of it annoying the user because they don't see it anyway. So connecting that consumer and business circles into a media language. So how do we do that? Now, this is the last example that I have for you. So pay attention because I have this exclusive limited edition study holder that I got from the office on my way back. So the best question is gonna get this one. So there you go. Next time you're considering coming in person for a lecture or watching online, you'll know that you are missing out big time. So a lot to say today. Anyway, so let's talk about the funnel a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what you see in terms of the ADA decision-making model. So that was, I think, in the 80s. It's very different now. Google came out with the messy middle model of behavior. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. It's quite interesting. But essentially, we're going to work on the ADA model here. So ADA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So this kind of sort of overlaps on the business and consumer, because businesses always say like attract people. So you want to raise awareness, you want them to be informed. So the interest has to be the etc. etc. This graphic doesn't actually talk about ADA, but I couldn't find another one in time, so I sort of stuck with it. Keeping in mind, so awareness, interest, desire, action. So how do we then sort of connect that decision-making model that impacts consumer and business to media buying? So again, this is a screenshot from one of our clients. Maybe not. Maybe the data is real. Maybe it's not. Maybe I have permission to show it. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I think we'll find out. So the idea here is that I've recreated that model for decision-making using the metrics in platform. So this is not my idea, by the way. I wrote about it and I used it. And sometimes that's all that is needed. So if you actually do something about your knowledge, that can set you apart from all the other people that have the knowledge but do nothing about it. So firstly, let's talk about awareness. So awareness in this case is an expression of 3-second views divided by impressions. So the idea here is like, is your creative starting or stops the spiking that's happening if you're watching videos or whatever. So like understanding, okay, does it actually grab attention? let's talk about interest. Well, this is going to be measured by your average view time or play time. So understanding are people actually spending time looking at your creative. Desire, that's going to be measured by your outbound click-through rate, which means that this is traffic that you're sending away from the platform onto the website. And then action should be measured by things like ads to cart or purchases. I don't really like using that part of the model because there's a lot more that goes into whether or not someone buys off the back of your ad. Your ad can be excellent, but if the on-site experience is poor, if the SEO is terrible, if content is not there, if it's not a safe from a transactional standpoint because you don't have the right encryption, it's really going to be a terrible experience for someone. So I prefer to keep it out or more just as an FYI in terms of what is happening. So think about the decision-making process, think about your target audience, and then see how you can put it into your media buying, especially if you're doing paid social. Alright, so we covered a lot today. I don't know if that's a lot or not, but it's 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, so I think let's be light on the content. So firstly, you need to understand the differences between the platforms, and this is hard because you can't really learn it like you learn by speaking with people from the industry or doing it yourselves. Make sure that you run things past your clients, and the interesting thing is that they are meant to be the experts on their target audience. If you have a client that comes to you and goes like, so who is our target audience? It's a really hard question to answer because the correct answer is like, no, you tell me. No, you can't do that because then you lose clients. If you want me to come back and cover more of that, then please ask the lecturer. I'm always on the lookout for more photos and videos for my LinkedIn profile, so I'll be more than happy to come back at any point and talk about any of these if any of it is helpful. So again, don't just stop at your paid social zone. Understand the business, understand the product, understand the consumer, and have a good reason and logic behind your recommendations. And lastly, keep learning. To give you an example, I had multiple people coming through my team and saying like, why is this account structured this way? Like, why are you still doing this in this way? And a lot of the things that we know, because the industry is relatively young, is just coming from experience in the way that we do things. And it's often easy to fall into those unhelpful schemas of like, oh no, this is the best way to do it because that's how I've done it. And my question is like, okay, have you tested it? Do you actually know, or you just think that you know? Because restructuring an account every time someone new comes on board is really not the best use of my team's resource. So it's important that if you come with an opinion, you have something to back it up. If you want to stay in touch, this is my LinkedIn profile. I don't really post much there, so it's pretty useless to you, but there you go. You know, if you really want to connect, go for it. And I know that there was a question already that was sent through to me. So I'm happy to just jump straight into it. Answer the first question, or are we like at time? I don't know what probably should have asked you what the time.
No, that's all good. That's all good. No, there's no format. We got the full 2 hours, so we can do whatever. Q&A sounds great. Maybe we just open it up to students and see what's what. But before we do, thank you so much. That was really fantastic. Very informative and great to get that industry experience, particularly about your experience as the industry's evolved and changed. And that was really good. The focus on strategy now. That's very informative.
No, not at all. Here to help, like I said. We don't do anything on Tuesdays anyway, so we want to come back.
Yeah, well.